Usually, I feel like I have some kind of clever way to start these critique videos. A thread of some kind that ties to my impressions or something in the gameplay or just a general thought that expands later in the script. And yeah, they're pretty hammy and heavy-handed, and I know I should mostly just get rid of them, but I like feeling that a single idea can not only be a small part of a whole, but can, in some way, embody that whole at the same time. This time, I don't know. Like, seriously. Malus. Or Malus? Or Manarchilus? Or Malus? I'm not sure I even know how to pronounce the title correctly, but I can tell you one thing. It's coming your way from Raman Abdul via Team Ramen, and that's pretty much where the trail ends. Malus has been in early access in the Steam store since early March of 2020, and we'll discuss what's been going on with it later in the video, but there it is, on the store, and, Rahman Abdul and Team Ramen seem to be, oh, period. Did I really just write a sentence? Yeah, there isn't a lot to go on out there in the web space. The website for the game is basic, maybe to a fault, as there isn't a lot of usable info there for prospective players. And the Steam store doesn't really offer much either. When the game was first released, Anomaly, that is the dev, was on a tear, responding to bug reports and keeping players up to date with what he was working on and what they could expect in the future. And then, silence. Until November, when another manic tear of activity took hold with updates and communications that would then go back to silent running after a few days. And that's where we are now. And this may be an early red flag for any potential players of the game, not that there may be that many out there. This actually reads directly from some things I brought up in the video for Escape World, echoed from the email I received from Joe, Escape World's developer and publisher. He was worried that people seeing the early access tag might be scared off, and I get that. There's probably a number of games out there in some perpetual state of early access, like Fallout 76 or, I don't know, Cyberpunk. And yeah, players would be wise to wait and see. But Joe was reliably communicating with the players and integrating bug fixes and suggestions as he was able, before leaving early access within 4 months of even being available in the store. Communication, what an idea. If only there was some kind of web that spanned the world that could be used for communicating. So, for players, early access, red flag. Lack of obvious development, red flag. Lack of communication, red flag. Lack of interest being generated by a small player base, red flag. Lack of information on the game's website, red flag. Lack of web presence for the developer. Yeah, you get the picture here. It's like a Gamebryo shaking its death rattle before its hands and fingers are even fully formed. Now, to fill in some of the gaps, I sent an email to the contact address listed on the website, and I got no response. And it seems fitting, given the lack of official information being shared by Team Ramen, but I don't know, it really just leaves more questions than answers. Like, literally. Okay, let's get moving. Looking at the gameplay, you're likely going to find a lot of Diablo buried in there. That is, it's an isometric RPG. Now don't tell anyone this. I never played any of the Diablo games, so what I'm looking at here is more like the Record of Lodoss War game than anything else I've played. You, well, I don't know, make up your own game to compare it to, and you're probably right. The website and Indiegogo campaign pages both throw Dark Souls into the ring because, well, campfires. So I guess that's there too. Anyways, it's an action RPG, and in that respect, it's fairly straightforward. Wolves, spiders, demons, giants. Kill them all up a little bit, get experience and get stronger and stuff, build some armors and weapons, and then go kill up some more things. Yeah, right now, that's roughly what the gameplay boils down to. That is, it's kind of real rough right now, more like a general outline of what it might be. I do like the fact that you can respec at any point. There's currently a level cap, so the respec thing can be useful in some situations. Not doing enough damage? Well, chuck some of your points into strength or wisdom. Dying too quick? Well, respec and throw some points into your constitution. And yet, I don't know, there seems to be some weird overlap in some of the stats. Putting points into wisdom will increase your magical damage. So will concentration. And it seems sometimes arbitrary how much of a gain one will give over the other, which is weird. There could be an underlying mechanic that I'm just not getting here, but it still seems to be a dice roll in the gains you'll receive from whatever you put your points into. So, for instance, here I am at level 5, and I have 12 points to assign. Cool. Up to now, the gameplay will be mostly limited by what you're able to loot, and I've landed on this great axe as my current weapon. Groovy. Let's get better. My stats down here show what I'm at base, and if I dump all the points into strength, boom, 91.5 physical, 108.5 armor, 65.5 blunt damage, 103 stamina points. Cool. Now let's respec and put that all into agility. 67.5 physical, 108.5 armor, 65.5 blunt damage, 67 stamina points. So, what's the point here? Well, it doesn't really seem like there's anything useful about agility, as strength does the same and more, even for the stats that agility is supposed to help. It just feels like there's something missing here. And movement. Movement can be a bit of an adventure all on its own. With mouse and keyboard, it's accomplished by holding down a mouse button and dragging the cursor towards where you want to go. The further the cursor is from your avatar, the faster they'll go to try and get it back. And it works fine until there's dense trees or you're in a cave. In both cases, foreground things will go transparent so you can see where you are, but it's too easy to get caught on trees that the game feels are foreground, even though you're running your head right into them. And that can be a problem when you're trying to just get away from things. Drawing your weapon will slow you down, and I recommend that if you're in cave space. Since there's no minimap available underground, it can be a slog figuring out where you've been and how to get back, so sometimes... yeah. And without save scumming as a thing, it's back to the start where the game last autosaved. And combat. Now, combat can either be simple or painful. And this is interesting because it's kind of your choice on which one it is. Playing hack and slash is so simplistic it almost feels like a game made for mobiles. One button to move around, and the other for slicing and dicing. Going ranged, on the other hand, requires targeting, and it feels incredibly slow. It would be more useful in a traditional party setting as long as your tank is doing their job. Magic ain't bad though. It's about as quick as bashing things, and you can just spam fireballs in any old way you want, as long as that way is a straight line. For mob that have taken the low ground, you'll have to get on their level to make them see the error of their ways. Now there is a quest system of some kind, but it's a little obtuse at times. One of the quest points is almost literally just go somewhere. Alright. Now, I am willing to chalk this up to early access and game in progress stuff, so I also feel like somewhere I saw a snippet that Raman was still kinda looking for a writer to hire on, but now I don't know where that was or if I just dreamed it. Either way, the story is sort of missing right now, and there's no real indication on when it will arrive. Eventually, it looks like it's going to be about taking down some demon evils, but who knows? There are some annoying things buried in the interface. The map is not so user-friendly right now if you want to zoom in for some reason, but it is big. There's a lot of space out there to explore. Well, sorta. I guess if you like to explore in this tiny area down here, you'll be good. Feeling like going somewhere further afield? Well, okay. Just don't expect much of anything. Crafting is also free of depth right now, relying on just a handful of the things you'll find. Seriously, if you're going to give players all kinds of materials, make them useful in some way. I get it, early access, but if they aren't needed now, why are they even here? TBH, the crafting could probably use a video all its own, but I'm not going to be making that. What I will say is that you'll likely be grinding. A lot. Mining, lumbering, hunting down certain mob, you'll be scraping for all the materials you can find in order to make that legendary perfected set of armor and arms. On the plus side, the whole map resets on load-in, so for some materials that can easily be found on certain mob, clear out area, go to campfire, save, reload, rinse, repeat. Grindy, but, somewhat forgiving. Oh, and yeah, you'll find some bugs here too. They pop up in different ways, but there are some that may be game-breaking, or, I don't really know if they are. Okay, for instance, one portion of the quest has you hunting up some things to kill in different areas. Not a problem, but one of them decided to come after me for some reason as I set up camp. Now, the campfire has this aura that kills anything that gets close to it, and this thing just ran smack into it. And it didn't really seem to make a difference moving forward, but I don't really know that for certain. Wait, what was that? Did I just say moving forward? Well, you'll recall I said that moving is achieved by holding down a mouse button and letting your plasticine puppet chase after it. There is no keybind for auto run or anything like that. Unless you double click anywhere on the map, which honestly, I don't mind at all, but is it a bug or is it a feature? And then there's this exploit that, should I be revealing an exploit? Whatever. I doubt anyone's going to watch this video anyway. So, crafting armors with elemental resistances will, well, they'll allow you to approach invulnerability, a sort of nigh invulnerability that's almost tick-like. Again, though, I don't really know if the resistances make a difference. It still seems like your avatar will take the damages just like they will with no resistance at all. And while some of the graphical effects for that damage might not be bad, the graphics in general are there? Okay, if you like the color brown, this game might be for you. The ground, the rocks, the caves, the trees, it's brown on brown on brown. In most cases, the only times you'll have anything resembling color, it'll be something to do with something magic-y. There doesn't seem to be a heck of a lot of detail here with the characters or creatures either. It kinda sucks because the armor doesn't look bad in the inventory space, but your body parts are probably gonna stick out in areas. And you'll definitely run around with crazy legs in certain places, breaking any sort of realism that the game may be trying to engender. You'll also find a day-night system here, which works fairly well, unless it's sunrise. At night, you'll have your lantern to light a small patch around you, and it works, but it's not something you can turn on or put out on your own. It's all auto. At sunrise, your lantern will automatically extinguish itself before there's any real sunlight to speak of. Now, I've been playing the game mostly at 2.5K with the qualities all maxed up, but you've got options here to tailor it to your rig. Here's some side-by-sides for comparison. I guess my final gripe with the graphics stuff is in the character creation. That is, there isn't the character creation. You can be either stock woman or stock man. The Malus racing circuit does not accept modifieds. Okay. Yeah, it's a small gripe, but in my experience, removing that from an RPG has a side effect of removing the player from a connection with the game. I have recently been playing Shadowrun. Shadowrun Returns, Dragonfall, Hong Kong, and there's something nice about being able to build the same character to play through the different games. That small thing adds a little bit of emotional attachment between player and character that a game like Malus could definitely benefit from. Now, the music isn't bad, but there doesn't really seem to be a lot of it. You get the opening menu screen where the music seems to offer something foreboding and ominous with a touch of melancholy, and I think it does a good job of setting a place at the table. In-game, it's mostly a loop of droney, ethereal, atmospheric stuff, with the sounds of the environment mixed in, and again, I think it does a good amount of place setting. But I can't help feeling that it's in the wrong game. I haven't played more than a few hours of Pathologic, but for some reason the soundscape here has me thinking of there, which, that's weird. However, there is something in this music that brings me back and makes me smile. A number of years ago, a couple friends and I were playing this sword caliber game on the Dream Master or something. At one point, one of my buddies, who had been consistently losing, turned and said, "I think it's the music. It makes me think I'm winning when I'm not." Yeah, a brilliant observation that I think fits here in some way. It's sometimes hypnotic and has done me the same way, making me think I'm winning when I'm not. I like the fact, though, that the wolves will howl when they see you. It's useful when you're wondering what kind of red dot you're approaching on your minimap. It's also nice that one wolf can get the attention of others that are nearby and bring them all running at you. It's simple, but it's effective. Other sound effects aren't what I would call incredible, but they mostly fit with what the creature or the avatar are up to. Oh boy, man. I feel like the magic 8-ball might explode on this one, but let's see what it says. "O deep and most reliable spirit of ape." Outlook hazy, try again. Okay. Followed by... cannot predict now. Okay, I'm not actually sure what I can say about the future of this game. It's been up for almost a year at this point and hasn't shown many signs of growth. Now, it is worth pointing out that the dev has said in at least a couple posts that he is working on the game when he can. His work as, I believe, a graphic designer has had him working on outside contracted work to keep food on the table and keep the computer turned on, so keep that in mind. He's another one-man band developer, working while using his spare time to make his game. Also, there doesn't seem to be any roadmap anywhere that has info on when things will be added or worked on. The lack of communication from Anomaly or Rahman just leaves this game in a kind of limbo. But I don't know. I think I'll be keeping an eye on this one. I found it while snuffling around for a simple isometric RPG, and that's exactly what I found. It'd be nice to see this game grow into something that can hold a candle to Diablo, or The Record of Lodoss War, or whichever game you chose earlier to compare it to. I just don't know if that's going to happen here. There's some things that I like. Alright, that exploit mentioned earlier, and the thing where your corpse turns into a zombie ghoul that'll attack you where you died. That's great, and it totally fits the world this game lives in. But there's a lot here not to like. It's short right now. Leveling moves too quickly and the story just kinda disappears after a certain point. There's not a lot of depth to the systems. Too many people are named Nora. and there's almost no info coming out of Team Ramen or Rahman Abdul to go on. And I feel like I've always tried to find the good in the games I've reviewed so far. I like to feel that I've been honest about finding the bad as well. The only game so far that I've played and walked away from has been Last Oasis, but I don't know here. Last Oasis felt empty. There was just nothing interesting to do. Malus feels emptier? Emptier than empty? And yet, I'm not going to be fully walking off of this one. It might be some time before the map size matches the game size, but I'll be looking out for the updates and watching how it grows. You know, it's interesting. At the start, I was kind of saying that I didn't know how to start this critique, that I couldn't put my finger on the through line for the game as it is. And yet, one phrase has seemed to sum it up throughout. I don't know. I don't know so many things about this game. Not least of all, whether I would recommend it to anyone. I don't know if I found it enjoyable or not, and nobody knows what to expect moving forward. And that's really the downfall of this game. I understand and respect keeping a low profile these days, but that has the unfortunate side effect of keeping people in the dark. And for an indie developer, well, I don't know if that's the best approach. Alright, as always, thanks for swinging through. Don't be afraid to like or dislike or add your own comments down below. If you like, check out some of my other myopic takes or share with a friend or enemy. I'm likely to do an update video soon on some of the games I've already looked at, so keep your eyes peeled. And next time, it's back into space we go. Stay safe, stay healthy, have fun out there, and cheers.